Oh, sorry. Hello, my friends. Thank you for watching. You kind of caught me napping here. Sorry about that. I want to give you a brief explanation of the video that you may or may not watch all the way. This video is mainly me showing you how I would draft out a frame on CAD. Now, the CAD program that I'm using here is old. It's on an old computer. I've had it since 2009. The program, that is, it was given to me when I was working at Dassault Falcon Jet. They would give the older programs to the designers, and so we could take them home and practice and things like that. A very nice thing that they did. So I've had this program for a while, and it's installed on an older computer. And this older computer is out of date operating system. It's still running, but it's a little slow. But anyway, the brief explanation is this: I don't have video capture on this particular computer, so I had to video this with my camera pointed at the screen. So this video is long. It may not interest you at all, but I'm going through all the details and decisions that I would make as I draw out a frame from a picture that, say, marketing team or the designer has given me, and I'm going to draw out the frame. And so I will walk you through the decisions made as I do that. It's a long video. I apologize for that. It's took me a while to do this because of trying to set everything up, and using the camera and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I hope you enjoy it. If it may not be your thing, and I understand a lot of people don't have time, and a lot of people are just scanning through YouTube and they want something quick. But I think you would find this informative if you find drafting, CAD work, any of that interesting. So that being said, I'm not going to do an intro or anything like that. We're just going to get into the video. If you have any questions, please leave a comment. I'll be glad to answer it. And at the end, I'm going to ask you a question, and then if you want to give me the answer in a comment, I'll tell you if you're right or not. So thanks for watching, and if you'd be so kind, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It'd help me out a lot and encourage me to make more videos. Okay, this is my CAD screen. What we're looking at here is two pictures, a front view and a side view of a sofa that we're going to develop a frame for. So you can see this foot here. Judging my best judgment, that foot is about 3 inches high, probably roughly 6 inches side to side. So I've developed a foot down here similar to that I'll use to kind of help build my frame off of. The other thing I have here is some guidelines of seat height, seat depth that has been an industry standard pretty much from the first day I started developing frames. So usually the seat height ranges anywhere from 18 to 20 inches. These are dimensions based on an average size person. So some people, would want a taller seat. Some people would want something a little shorter, but 18 to 20 is become kind of the standard. Seat depth to be comfortable is around 22 inches. So we shoot for something around in that range. And if we're going to have a loose cushion here, which this particular sofa does, has a loose back cushion here. So I've simulated what that looks like here. So this is our cushion. I made our cushion about, let's see if I can get a measurement here, 6 inches high So we got about a 6-inch core foam there. At the height, having about a half an inch crown on this cushion, it'd be 7 inches overall. So let me get rid of those measurements. I use the same thickness on the back cushion. So I've established our 22 inches, and I've put a 15-degree pitch in this, which 105, 15 degrees off of 90, which would be up parallel. So that's 15 degrees. Some companies will have that a little more, some a little less. But 15 degrees seems to be about a comfortable standard. I had one manufacturer I worked for, they claimed 22 inches was the golden rule. But all this stuff, all these dimensions are subject to change depending on the designer or the marketing people, the people that got to sell this furniture, what they really want. So we start with these dimensions, and they may get adjusted along the way. So this is a floor line. These are infinity lines that I've set up. This is a center line, floor line, center line. So I've got my legs sitting on this floor line. Let me get rid of that little extra line that's been there. So what I'm going to start with is we're thinking we're going to need a seat width of 71 inches. Okay, the reason I come up with that is an average seat cushion width, average, is 23 inches. So if you do 3 cushions in a sofa, and that's what we're going to be building, 3 cushions at 23 inches side to side, that's what an average person, seating space for an average person. That's 69 inches. Then we're going to add a 1 inch, because we're dealing with a raw frame here. So we're going to add 1 inch for foam that we're going to pad these arms with. So what I want to do is come off, divide that 71 by 2, and we're going to come up with 35.5. So what I want to do is at my 3-inch height here, I want to come out with a line, and I'm going to use this as a point of reference. Using this 3-inch leg, I'm going to start me a line. I'm going to hit my control here to make it a straight line. And I'm going to go 35. I'm going to type in on my keyboard here 35.5. All measurements are in digital. So we're going to, and I'm going to escape out of this function that I'm in. And so we're going to take this right here. I'm going to take this line and move it over to here. All right, that's going to come off my center line. So just to confirm what we're doing, I'm going to come off my center line 35.5. So from there, I'm going to build up to the arm. So this is the inside. So I'm going to take a line and I'm going to go from here straight up. And I'm going to determine what I want my arm width to be. Now looking at this, we got a rolled arm here. We've got a T cushion, which is usually an L-shaped cushion. A T comes off as a decorative feature that a lot of sofas have on them. So this is a T cushion. We're going to set the arm back a little bit, but that's when we do our side view. So looking at this, I'm going to say that's about, let's see, we got 18 inches here. So let's say we want our arm to be around 26 inches high. So we're going to come from floor line up 20, we'll do 26 inches and come over. We're just going to make us a little box here. Now, looking at this roll on this arm, I'm going to say we're going to do about, let's say that arm is 9 inches, okay? So what I'm going to do here is create a circle. And I'm going to do that, type in 4.5. Gives us a 9-inch roll there. I'm going to bring this up to here. I use a lot of, when I'm building something like this, I use a lot of reference lines. So, all right, so we got our height here now at 26 inches. And we're going to get rid of that line. So we got that at 26 inches. Now let's see, where do we want that roll to break at? So let's say we want this roll to break somewhere around in there. I think that's a little bit much. I think we're going to have to come over just a little bit more. So let's see what we got here just as a reference, what that looks like. All right, that's about 7.93. So let's see what 7.5 looks like. I'm going to copy this over 7.5. And let's see what we got here. Don't know that that looks right. And what I'm trying to imagine is where this arm is rolling around here and coming down and meeting up with this front rail. If you can picture that. Imagine that cushion being gone. All right, so I'm on try 7. So I'm going to move this over 0.5. See what happens. I think I kind of like that better. So let me double check my measurements here. Get my line to snap. That ain't right. Yep, 7 inches. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to extend this line on over to here. And we're going to start trimming off some of these things. So I'm going to go over and pick up my trim tool. And I'm going to trim this. And I'm going to trim this. And then we're going to highlight these two and trim this. Now that looks reasonable. Let me get rid of that trash line. I think that looks reasonable. I think that would give us an arm. So we got a 7-inch arm here with a nine-inch roll. I think that looks pretty good. So at this point, I'm going to take this leg and move it just to give us a point of reference and put it somewhere kind of center of that arm, just like it would sit up here. And now we're going to determine the height of our, so I'm going to take this and move it over. We're going to kind of determine where our front board should be. Okay, so we've got that cushion height is right about here. Our front board's right about there. So yeah, we're looking like we're going to need an 8.5 inch front board. Okay. So let's move this out of the way. I've already set this as a block, so I only have to highlight it one time and it'll move this whole, everything I've got here. So I got this. We're going to copy this up. Whoop, hit the wrong thing. Going to take that line and copy it up 8.5 inches. Now we've got our front board. Okay, so now we've got a back here. We've got to determine where we want our back. So, and then we'll start working on our side. So we got this back, and usually, if you look at the back of your couch, usually you have the cushion sticking up above it about 3 to 5 inches. So I'm gonna go down 4 and just kind of split the middle here. And then we're gonna go over, and that will give us our back height. Okay, so now from there, and what we're gonna do is come from here and go straight up and tie into that. And then from there, once again, I will trim some of this stuff away. And then repeat, trim, hit this line. And now we got our frame rail. So we're building this frame out of 7/8 inch plywood. We're using plywood because we're gonna make a CNC frame here. So that being said, I'm gonna take this, copy it down 0.875, and that gives us the thickness of that up to there. That's our back support for that frame. Okay, so we got the front of our frame kind of roughed out. You got to remember that this is a T here, so this comes all the way over. That'll make more sense when I draw the side of this. But right now, we're going to start with our side view. We'll move this out of the way. Now, you may be wondering why I'm just doing one side of it. Everything is on this particular sofa will be symmetrical from side to side, so I've just got to do one side. So once I do one side, I can mirror this over and complete a whole sofa. So from here, I'm gonna make this, I think I decided I'm going to make this sofa 36 inches deep. Let's see how that works out. So I'm gonna start from here. Once again, just as a point of reference, I'm gonna go out a little bit. I'm gonna go up my 8.5. I'm gonna go over 0.875. And now I've got my front rail. I'm gonna go a little past that and just trim it. Okay, and now I'm going to delete this, and then from here I'm going to draw a line back, 36 inches, see how that looks. In my other video about frames, let's see if I can get this to, yeah, there we go. My other video about frames, I talked about width of boards and frames and things like that, and I talked about depth of frames So, we're gonna start here at 36 inches. I'm gonna take this and kind of move it over a little bit so we're a little closer to our frame here. But frames can get frame depth can get out of hand real quick, and a lot of people these days are doing a lot of deeper frames, but you have to consider if you're going to be able to get it into a house. So I'm going with 36 inches. We're going to see how everything lays out from there, and then we'll decide. So I'm going, from this point, I'm going to set these cushions here in front of our sofa to kind of give me a point of reference. Okay, so I came up with about a 2-inch rail. I think we're going to need more than that. So I'm going to I did 2 inches, I think. Let's see, what have I got here? I think I'm going to go 3.5. That would be about right. And by the time we add padding, that would work out. So just give me a line here real quick, and I'm going to use that to trim that other line. Go over 3.8, 7.5, I gotta do this again. Okay, so I got our back height. Had to go back and make some adjustments there. Got our back height at 32 inches. And so we're going to need this thickness to come off of here. Okay, so we got the basic features of our side set up. So get rid of some of these lines, and I'm going to move this away for right now. Now we got this arm we got to deal with. I'm going to do a construction line off this arm so I can get the height right. I'm going to come back about I'm going to come back about 6 inches. I'm going to say that T is around 6 inches. By the time you have the padding on the front and all that stuff, the cushion may be closer to 7. But I'm going to start there by setting that arm back 6 inches. So I'm going to copy this back 6 inches. And since that's going to be sitting on top of that rail, I'm going to move this up right there. And then I'm going to take this and stretch it up to our arm height. So there we have, let me get rid of that construction line. So there we have the side view of our arm. So side view, front view. Now we got to start making decisions about springing rails, tack rails, things like that we're going to need to build this sofa. So the first thing we want to look at is I'm going to put a rail right here. This will be a top block. We'll need some support right there. So we're going to need that. And you can imagine that's going to be sitting, this block is going to be a solid piece. The front board's a solid piece. They're coming together. They're going to tack in right here. We'll have another block up here that will, I'll simulate it right now. Let me copy that. So you imagine this is behind that. This is separating this block. So this will be the top for that block. So this is a solid front rail coming across all the way across like it is here. This is behind this. So we got a top block here and a side block here. They will be make like an L shape here. I'll go ahead and draw this other line but you just got to imagine that these lines are back behind the actual front rail. Okay, so that gives you an idea of what that's going to look. Now, the next decision we're going to make is we got 1-inch arm foam we're going to put around this arm. That's going to be our padding. But one of the things that I've done, at least in the last 20 years, is to make an arm more comfortable. You know how an arm can be hard to put your elbow in. And it all depends on the padding, the density of the foam, a lot of things that go into that. But one of the things we've been doing a lot in some of the companies I was working at is building like a shelf here to put 2 inches of foam on. So I'm going to go 2 inches down here, and I'm going to make me a line from there. I'm going to use a construction line because that's just quicker. And I'm going to take that, trim it off. Get rid of that reference line. So now we're going to put a 2-inch piece of foam here. I'm going to copy this down. The thickness. And so we're tying in now a block, a board here. It's going to sit back behind this arm and tie in, tie in front and back to this. So if you can imagine that, it's going to be, this is what it'll look like on the side. I evidently hit move instead of copy. All right, so that's what the rail looks like from the side. So we'll put a 2-inch piece of foam there. That'll give us some extra padding. Then we'll wrap this whole arm with 1-inch foam here, and that'll give us a nice looking arm. This arm on this particular sofa has a panel insert pleated around here, and of course it's got the brass nail accents on the front and on the arms. I don't know why they got them spaced differently from arm to front rail, or band as we call that little section there. So that's the roughing in of the frame. So from here, we're going to need some tack rails. Normally we do we're going to need something that we can come around here and tack onto. So we're going to make a 2-inch rail. I'm going to copy this because I'm going to need more 2-inch rails. I'll put that right there. We're going to put us another 2-inch rail here. We're going to put us another rail for support here. So that gives us a place to tack cardboard here, here, and here. We're also going to need another rail. I'm going to get the center and go right about there. Going to move it in just a tad, because we don't want them corners sticking out. So that's going to support our cardboard as our cardboard comes down here and attaches around. So we got those rails. So now to draw those rails over here, so once you get one part of it done, you can pretty much use it as a reference point. Give you an idea of what's going on, or how a frame's built, sorry. Okay, so that gets kind of confusing with all those lines, but you get the idea. We're just trying to represent all those tack rails over here. Most important one, I'll show you in a minute. Okay, so one of the most important ones is going to be this rail right here, which we will tie the back rail into. So now the next things we need to look at is, and you get the idea of what an arm construction looks like here. We've tied in the top rail. We got a back rail here that the cushion will sit up against. So that will be this rail here. So we can actually take and make another line over here to represent our tack line. Now, all this is going to start getting confusing to you because I know where I'm at, but to you it probably looks like a bunch of lines. But I'm giving you a rough idea of what it's like to draft in a sofa. So I'm going to do a couple of more things, give you some ideas of some things that need to happen, and then we're going to then I'll close it up from there, because I don't know how interested anyone is in this, but I just want you to get an idea of what drafting out a frame looks like. So now from here, I'm going to come down about 1 inch, and I'll show you what this is about to be. I'm going to come down, get my 1 inch. I'm going to come out 0.875, which is 7/8 of an inch. I'm going to go down 4 inches. And go back over. Now, this is going to be the rail I'm going to spring off of. I'm going to run sinuous wire springs, and I'm going to run sinuous wire springs off of that. I've allowed a 1 inch buildup here above this spring rail, okay? That's because to allow for for lack of a better word, to give you an idea, it's kind of where the cushion catches. There will be an edge roll here. It will go on that to protect the fabric from the wood. You'll have 1-inch padding on the front rail as well. Sometimes people use less, 3/4 of an inch. I think 1 inch just really looks a lot better. But you'll put an edge roll there, which I can show you some examples of edge roll. But I'm going to take my cushion, set this back in here for a minute, get rid of this one measurement here. Whoops, got rid of all of it, didn't I just wanted to delete that one measurement. I'm going to move this back over here. Okay, so this is where we're going to need to put our rail. So I'm going to copy this one more time. Oh, I hit move. Copy. So that's our rail, and it's going to go across. This is where our back is tied into this. So I'll show you something else here in a minute. So this is our back rail, okay? So from here, I'm going to come, let's see what, 28 inches. And why 28 inches? 1 inch. Now why 28 inches? Okay, I'm going to put a 28-inch spring here. I'm going to put another spring rail here. Here. And it's got a 1-inch pinch from the one in front. Now what's the reason for that? A sofa, one of the reasons, I think I've said it in another video, I don't like flat webbing. I see people using stretch webbing, that green stretch webbing for a spring unit. And it's a flat seat. And when you do that, you're relying on your foam to give you the ride. And the only thing you're doing is going down. You don't have a ride, in other words, because use this as an example. I'm going to put an arc here from this point to here. So this represents my sinuous wire. I'm going to take that and move it down just a little bit. So that's where the sinuous wire spring is hitting the cushion. So now I've got an arc there so that my ride will translate. See, 75% of your body weight is coming down on this cushion. So you're sitting, you got your feet on the floor, you got your back leaned back. The rest of your body weight is riding right in here, and that's at least 75%. So if you start out with a flat surface, you're going to deflect down. Here you've got to deflect through the cushion and through this arc before you'll start going. And most of the time, all you're going to deflect is about this much. If you've got a good sinuous wire spring in there. A good sinuous wire spring is around an 8-gauge spring. Most back springs are around 12, 13 gauge, but a seat spring will be 8.5, 9 to 8 to 8.5 to 9 gauge springs. So they're pretty stiff and they're pretty resilient. So we're putting a 28-inch spring in here. So by the time I put that in there and put my little spring clip on, I'm going to get that kind of an arc there. Okay, so that simulates my spring. I'm going to move this cushion out of the way. Okay, so we got our spring rail. We're tying this spring rail into a rail that's going to go from here, let's see if I can get that to snap over there, to the front of that arm. And so that's our rail that's holding that. We're going to kind of notch that out and make a nice little area there. So from here, what we're going to do is we're going to create a last thing I'm going to do. Well, there's two more things I want to do. Let me do that first. So we're going to have something that's going to kind of tie in our back. So that's going to kind of tie in our top rail and be a support on the front. These rails will run across the back in 3 different sections as well. So I hope that made sense. So this is a rail that's tying in the back. And so now all we need is a support here. So what we're going to do is come off of this rail. Come down here. Make us a support rail. And that will be, these rails will be in the center of this as well. Okay. So, front view, side view. If you want to see what the complete sofa would look like. And that's what we have. So I hope that made sense. I just wanted to kind of walk you through the decisions we make to make a sofa frame. And there's some more details in here that we would do, but this will give you a rough idea of what the decisions that are made to make a frame. And you can see that it's going to be pretty close to these pictures. And from here we would start. What I would do from here is I would make a bill of materials, a list of materials that will be used in this product, and I would list out the parts that are shaped versus the parts that are straight. List out all these parts for costing purposes and also for the mill room, and then I would start setting up patterns off of these parts here, and all that would be sent to the CAD operator in the CNC room, and he would make the patterns that, or the outline for how it would lay on the plywood, and how the machine would route through the parts and all that. So all that has to be determined by the machine. It's our job as the R&D designer is we're gonna blueprint out the frame and start working on and then they would send it through the CAD room from there. But anyway, that's what it looks like. I hope you found that informative. And that's what the part would look like extracted from the frame. So that's the same frame. We're going to have a mortise and tenon joint here, where this top rail here will have a tendon that will go through here. And all these other rails, the 2-inch rails, will have a 1-inch tendon that will go through here, 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 and here. And then we'll have this side piece here that will go here for support. And all this, once it's all said and done, will make a very strong frame. Mortise and tenon joints that are easy to do on a CNC router, where if you were doing the old methods of sending this through the mill room, you would be looking at going through multiple machines. But with a CNC machine, it can do it with one swipe of the router blade. So That's how we would extract parts, and then the individual parts would be sent to the CNC to make the frame, to cut out the frame from there. Anyway, this is an idea of how to build a frame on CAD. Thanks for watching.